been busy. There's saws and stuff everywhere, and I'm not even going to clean it out because I'm behind on everything car-wise. So got some intake seals and some delete parts for swirl flaps. Now, these don't have the problem the BMWs do. Like, they don't break and fall into your engine and explode. That's a myth. But they do stop working right, and the linkages break and the bushings wear out. So since I had some other parts fall out of the car, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the swirl flaps as well. That way I don't have to worry about them throwing a code in the future. The ECU already has been set to not use them, so might as well just pull them all the way out. It's a little intimidating at first, so we got to pull this pipe off, and then these lower intakes that are plastic underneath it. Now, engine's still pretty warm to the touch. It's been a couple hours. I didn't want to do it in the cold tomorrow because plastic at 0 degrees, I feel like it would just explode. Oh, damn it. Do I have another injector leaking? Sure looks like it. It's a hell of a mess. I'm gonna have to do an injector seal soon. Alright, probably loud with the torpedo heater. I'll just talk louder. So I have all these bolts out in this order. This little tray area is kind of nice to hold shit. Basically just went clockwise, pulled them all out. There's electrical under there I gotta unhook, but I think it'll be easier when I get to it. And I want to take as little off as possible. I think it'll wiggle around a lot of this, but this fuel line is gonna have to go, looks like. So I'll pull that off first, see if I can get this off, and we'll see what it takes to get the actual plastic manifolds out. And then these actuators on the back are gonna come off too. Alright, so light. Yeah. This one's harder to see than the other one. Essentially there's just a rod with a ball end. You can just pop it out. These wear out on their own. That guy. Mine had been worn out. I didn't have a code, but there you go. So that one's off, and it should just be a couple of these vertical Torx fittings. It's like this one. I don't know if it's all 3 of these or if it's just the one. I wonder if that's what those steel brackets were for, just to hold that wiring back up. Maybe. We'll find out. Yeah, this one has less stuff attached to it. They're already unplugged, but I think it's all 3 of these screws. This tool's great because it locks, so you basically do things with your hand, and then it makes the rest of it easy. Yeah, so that's all it is. So those 3 Torx, unhook your actuator. I already had it unplugged. They're pretty easy to unplug. The other one has some electrical connections attached to it up on top. What I like about this thing too is that you can't, it's pretty much impossible to make things too tight. On the other side of that, those rods are just attached to that manifold, so when the manifold comes out, they'll come with it. You can deal with that on the bench. Don't need to confuse those. Yep. Actually, these aren't worn and they're working great, so maybe if there's someone that has codes and doesn't want to do the delete, let me know. I can send you some actuators and little ball arms for them. Alright, remember I was talking about I didn't want to break stuff in the cold because blah blah blah. Well, right here, went to loosen this, snap, whatever line this is, I snapped it in half. It looks like it's just vacuum, so I'll be able to repair it with a piece of hose. It's still annoying, right? It's like, how many more things am I going to snap out here when it's 20 degrees like an idiot? There, this is what I was kind of expecting to see. So I got that one fuel line off, and you are able to kind of like wiggle it out from those manifolds. I would probably have to remove some other crap to get the manifolds out, but look how gross, right? So my EGR got stuck at one point, and those are just caked with shit. Who knows if that valve's stuck like that, right? These ones are full open, these ones are not. These ones are partly closed. That might be just from disconnecting it. Oh yeah, they move, but my God, they're disgusting. Can you guys see that? See how fucking gross that is? And then look at the intake, right? So this is 200,000 miles to be able to replace the turbo because it was leaking a bunch of oil, and this is just like coated. This is what kind of shit I remember from my ALH. Well, this motor, right? So this guy's intake, which is over here, was way more disgusting. It was clogging up. Well, it's somewhere. You guys see it? Oh, here it is. You see how, like, not so bad anymore. A little dark, but not full of crap. This is going to be more than an evening project, that's for sure, because we're going to clean that out. Now, I don't have EGR anymore. This is where it sucks it in. So basically from here back, right, intercoolers, all that, probably have a bunch of oil in them. They're oily and gross, whatever, we'll leave it. From here forward, it mixes with that soot, and it makes this stuff. Let me get a screwdriver. It's like this paste, and it just clogs your world up. What the hell? Oh, did my light just go out? No, there we go. There's a screwdriver. Yeah, so look how thick, right? Like, it's just this thick nasties. So we're gonna clean all that out. We're gonna clean up those swirl valves. This thing might get a little quicker. Who knows? Who knows? That's nasty though. And the problem is, like, I can't clean out the head. I can't clean out the back of the valve efficiently. So we'll just do as much as we can. I got the driver's side out. You know, nice and gross. Everything's gross. It's probably not limiting power. I mean, it's not like there's a big hole or blocked off, but I'm still gonna pull these things apart. And then for the side of the cylinder head, you know, I broke two of the glow plug connectors. They're not broken, they're just not gonna seal anymore, right? So it's like this shaft part is poo-poo. It still connects and does glow plug thingies. I hope. This one snapped too. Just snapped it back together. What I'll probably do before I put it back in is get a bunch of dielectric grease in there. And then I'll clean up the gasket surface, but the ports, I don't really want to goof with them. We'll just goof with the other parts. I did have to remove two coolant connections, so I just kind of flex this out of the way, and the fuel line. So I'll probably have to do this high pressure fuel line as well. Maybe I can flex that one out. This shit's in the way. I don't know if I can move that easily. There's a lot of these connections. I don't want to take those off and turn into like hose clamps or something. Fuck, man. Jesus. This side was a bit of a struggle. I ended up cutting the clamp here, where I point the, hard to point. There. So I cut that clamp. That's okay. I'll redo it. That's coolant. Apparently there's a little electric coolant pump. Intake, gross. Like I said, I'll just try to clean up the sealing area. I managed to not break any of the glow plug connections, so that's cool. But yeah, you just kind of have to flex up on things and twist it at funny angles, and it comes out. And that arm got in the way, so going back in, it'll be a little easier because that linkage won't be flopped around the back. But the point is, I can close the hood. It's down to like 15 out, and I'm starting to feel it. So get that hood closed, get the garage closed. Might let that thing run a minute, just long enough to give me a headache, right? And then just do some cleanup. I'll put it back together tomorrow when it's light out. Alright, the parts washer all set up. Turn that torpedo heater off, and this thing's already in low. It's because that thing just heats the garage so fast. Yeah, so I'm gonna pre-clean them before I take them apart, and then I'll kind of show how the valves sit and just how gross they are. That intake, I'm probably gonna soak it just so at least all the soot is soaked in kerosene, and I'll probably go ahead and blow it out jet engine style like I did with the ALH like a decade ago, because it really does a good job cleaning all the places you can't reach, and it's fun to watch. But I'll do that tomorrow. Okay, so this kit that I got is from Dark Side Developments, and over in the UK. They do a lot of diesel stuff, and they're good at it, so got it from them. Their video, they just like pop this off and then pull this up, and it pulls apart. Mine, there's a weld on the end there. And I'm afraid of breaking all this plastic stuff, so I've been being real gentle when I pry. I took the seal out, popped these out. This guy has little pinholes there. I don't think that bottom one comes out, so we might not end up with one on this end. I would probably slide this back in place just to fill in the spot. But I think what I'm going to try to do, because I don't really want to try to drill that. I guess I could, but I might just bend here, just kind of like bend by hand until the coat hanger's off, and then this should slide off at the end. Maybe we'll get the tripod. That way when I break my whole intake and have to buy a new one, everyone can laugh at me. Okay, gloves. Yeah, because I don't want to break, I don't want to bust up any of the plastic, but I think if I'd turned that first, that would have been smart. Maybe I still can. There we go. That should bend easier. Yeah, so it's snapped off and then comes out. Easy. That's the way I would do it. Drilling is for chumps. So there's no pieces left in there. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 whole ones and 1 half piece. So I'll have to check that kit and look. But the rest of this, all the sealing surface looks fine. Let's look at the kit. It's got a lot of cleaning needs to be done because it's gross. That's why, like when I do the injector seal, and like if a little flake of stuff here or there falls into the cylinder, I don't worry because ew. Right, here's a quick example. Like, look at this is just me scraping out with a screwdriver. Like, this is the kind of stuff that's coming out of the intake. That's why I hate EGR on diesels, because they don't do it well. Like, there's so much oil in the intake, it just doesn't, it's disgusting. Okay, the manifolds are pretty clean. This big runner, did a little manual scraping. We're going to leave this kerosene in there on the other part so it soaks. That way when we blast out the rest of it with fire and airflow, it'll be more flammable, so it'll get out of there quicker and it'll be kind of softened up. So I'm gonna close this down so it doesn't stink too bad. Ooh, yeah, good enough. That's enough for today. Oh, and I kind of cleaned that out and set it there, just being careful of the electronics, keep that separate from the other stuff. Plus I don't want to get heat into that. That's anti-shutter valve, 99% sure. So that'll snap closed when you shut the engine off so it doesn't shake and act all crazy. I'm back at it. It's at least light out today. I wonder what that looks like, not in the dark. Oh, or if any rodents are living in it all of a sudden. Oh, it's bright. Some of the wife's hair. How the hell is that even getting there? Alright. It doesn't look like a ton of coolant leaked everywhere or anything crazy, so I'll have to clean these up. I'll do that last. Clean that manifold out first. I haven't done a cleaning like this in a while. Essentially, I should be able to blast fuel in there and then introduce, come in kind of slow with the air nozzle, and eventually get like the jet effect, and it just burns everything out of there. I did it with my ALH like a decade ago, probably more than that. Could be that we're already pretty clean. Yeah, way back here. There's just not much fuel left in the tube. Alright, well, I wish that was more spectacular. Well, there's some kerosene left because it still had a flame going there. There we go. it's also entirely possible that this is just too, it's not the right shape, right? So like the Mark IV one for that ALH has 4 small runners and just as big of an opening. This kit's from Dark Side Developments, as I mentioned before, and the one that they show on their website, their video, has this seal, and they have you tap this and put a threaded bolt in it, and it doesn't have any of the other parts. So these, I mean, the seal is going to hold this in place, right? That blocks where all that other stuff used to be. So you can slide all those in. They seem to fit pretty nice. And I guess that just probably, I wonder if it whistles or something crazy. Because I can't imagine they're actually necessary. And then this plug, it appears to go right in the end. There's a seal in there for the shaft already, a piece of rubber. So I'd probably just push that in, and then I bet I'd put money on this holding it in place somehow. Oopsie, don't drop it in your engine. I don't know how it would go. Oh, probably like this. Yeah, just clicks right over the top. That's easy. I guess that'll keep it from blowing out. You gotta remember, what's this run, like 25 PSI? So on that, you're looking at, that's not a whole square inch. So you'd have like 8 pounds pushing on it. Not even. It's just easy enough. Snap this one in while I'm at it. Whoopsie. Yeah, I mean, it works, right? Like the new seal for the EGR and these guys, which I don't know what they actually are going to do. Maybe I'll have to look that up. It might not be for this vehicle either. Figure that out when we get to it. Anyway. So, and another one has one that's not a full piece. So we might end up only using 11. So I don't know if it's worth putting the factory piece in there because it's got a little hole in it. I guess it wouldn't matter. It's not like the air's going to go anywhere. This is a pretty tall seal. I don't have any doubt. Like this isn't, nothing of this is going to fall out when we go to put it in because it holds all those pieces in. So. So right there, that was the one that had a bottom half in it. So that's a 2-piece from the factory in there that had little pins. And we're back in place. If you're like me and you forget which one went on which side, these little humps are taller on the left and that little sharp angle is in the upper left. Whereas on this one, there is no little sharp angle and the humps are on the right on the bottom. So sharp 90, upper left. No sharp 90 here, basically. And then the 8 bolts, we go around it, these guys, these 5mm hexes, 9 Newton meters, which for metric challenge wrenches like this one is 79, I just put it at 80 inch-pounds. So it's really not that much. And that gasket's pretty tall, so it does its job. got a ball end on here, which is good because it's hard to reach. And so when I put this back together, I'm going to do the fuel lines from the pump before I put that manifold in place, because it's right across here and it's in the way and I don't want to deal with it. So I got it out with those on, should be able to get it back in with those on. Alright, turn the heater off real quick in case I can't hear anything else of the whole damn video. But just to go back over things, I broke this connection. They did ship it with a hose clamp, and that's the only place I can think that would need a hose clamp, and it appears to be a nice one. It's made in Spain. not China. So this one needs to go back together. There's a bunch of things that, yeah, so that'll be fine. I'll put that clamp, take it apart, put the clamp on. So let's see, what did I take apart? I took that apart. I unplugged this so it could move. This bolts to the manifold that slips underneath it. Oh, this comes back above the hose, so this comes above that. This plugs into the pump. I loosened that, rotated the EGR valve out of the way, the hose for it at least. What else? Coolant line here, glow plug connector. I broke a vacuum line, this one, so this will go back in place. This hooks into that. I think that can go back now, so I might as well. Either way. And this, wait. I'm backwards. This hose goes to something else. This one goes to this one. This one goes to this one that I tucked out of the way. Okay, so what did I unplug? I unplugged these, electrical. So this is for the motor, this is for the motor, they'll stay unplugged. Yeah, that's all the stuff. And fuel lines. So I'm gonna put the 2 pump outlets in place, then I'll put the crossover, which I think is just the return or something, some kind of balancing, whatever the fuck. But the one that goes from here to there, I'll put that on after that's in place, which I still need to blow out a little bit more. It got pretty clean though. I mean, there's little, yeah, like a bunch of the crusties came out, so I'm not worried about any little flakes. I just want to make sure there's no chunks. There's still a couple chunkies. Yeah, we'll make sure that's cleared out all the way before we put it on. Well, I was trying some stuff that I had in a box of vacuum lines, and I kept snapping this further and further away because it's just so damn brittle. So now what I have is some actual metric vacuum line. Fits over, and I'm super scared of pushing too hard and it'll just snap again. It's actually really pretty frightening. When I get that out, I'm like, yeah, it feels pretty good. So that should do. That's a good patch. It won't rub on stuff. It's not pulling anything funny. I ought to look into getting that whole line or figuring out what it's for. Seeing if maybe I can get rid of it. I don't know if it's for anything that's been removed at this point, but it's so brittle I had to have something snap and end up in like a limp mode out of state. Mostly done. This is left over. I don't know where it goes. So if it was important, it would be longer, right? There's a joke in there somewhere, but it looks like, yeah, so those 2 are unplugged. These are plugged back in. Oh, I got to tighten that hose clamp. I tightened the EGR thing. Coolant. They're all clamped. That's back down. Fixed my vacuum line. Fuel lines are in place. I think everything's there. I think I just need to tighten this, then not worry about this. Why the hell is something this short? I would think it would hold something to something. Like just 2 little, I don't know. Huh. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna tighten up that one thing and then start it and see if anything leaks. After that, I don't see any leaks, so I'm gonna get my light. Fuel line. there. Dirty. A little wisp of smoke back there. I wonder if I have exhaust leak where I took that apart at the turbo. That makes sense because I smell it sometimes. Those are good. I don't see anything crazy. Let's see, see if we have a check light from that long ass crank. Probably should have primed it. No check lights. Alright, well, I'm gonna change my clothes and drive to the car wash to see how it goes. Look, got all the way up to 18 degrees, but made it to the car wash and back, I don't know, 10 or 15 miles with one stop. So if it had problems, if I had boost leaks, if I had something I forgot to plug in, if it was going to blow up, probably would have done it on that trip. So no more swirl flaps. Doesn't feel any different, but at least I know all that junk isn't in there and that they're not going to get stuck in any weird position. So fine with it.